All right, we really haven't had time to talk about Bob Kessling's retirement. Football season was going on when that announcement came out. And then by the time we get a chance to talk about it, his replacement has been named. So big week at UT. Bob Kesling did his last football game at Ohio State, and he's Ohio born, so that was fitting for him to get I'm sure he wanted the Vols to win. But if you're going to close it out, he closed it where he was, his dad was a drum major, I believe, at Ohio State. So Bob Kesling, after 25 years, decides to hang it up. And Danny White decides to go and make a splash, and he brings back a guy who has been the Tennessee Titans voice for the last 27 years, Mike Keith. So thoughts, first of all, on Bob Kesling and the fact that you don't often see guys replace the legend. You don't want to be the guy that replaces the legend. And John Ward, about as legendary as you can get in this school. There aren't many schools where the broadcaster probably ranks up there among the greatest coaches, and here that's one of them. So for Bob Kesling to survive and thrive for 25 years doing that job, that's a hat tip moment for Bob Kesling.
Oh, and I mean, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. When you sit there and you listen to the actual years of how long Bob was doing what he did and Mike was doing what he did, and you sit there and go, it just doesn't seem that long ago that John Ward was stepping away.
Yeah.
So that is a huge, huge amount of time. I think, doesn't that make him the longest tenured?
I think he's right behind Ward. I
Right
may be
behind
wrong.
Ward?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think Ward was 68 to 98, I believe. I could be
Okay,
wrong.
30.
But very close.
I think he started in the 60s, but it was close, yes. A heck of a run. And then you bring back Mike Keith, who, of course, was here, would have been up for that job along with Bob Kesling had he not taken a Titans job right before the year Ward stepped down. And for Mike to get a chance to check that last box, I mean, he called a Super Bowl. He called one of the greatest NFL plays ever in the Music City Miracle. And now for him to get to come home where he always dreamed to get this job, kind of worked out well for everybody. But it's kind of a fairy tale moment for him to be able to check that final box and get back and close it out at UT.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that they kind of make that transition of two guys that have worked together. They've done a lot outside of their roles in the Vol Network with what Bob did on TV, on Jefferson Pilot, and again, the Vol Network. And then Mike, I grew up listening to him on Sports Talk in the afternoon. So that's how I first knew of Mike Keith. And then he goes on to do all the great things with the Titans. And then he gets to come home to be a part of what the Vol Network will do next. And it's kind of a transitioning time, right? Because we're in this digital age, so there will be more that is probably in that role. I think Mike will be a perfect fit for that. So I think it's great for all parties how the transition will take place.
And it's a pretty good time to be getting away from the Titans, right? I mean, for the past few years, that has not been like the kind of, the glamorous kind of, we got a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
They've been in a better position.
Yeah, they're going to win 2 or 3 games. They're going to be one of the most boring teams, and you're the play-by-play guy.
We can also look at it on the positive and say it's a great time to come to Tennessee.
Yeah, and I think Mike looked at that too. So he sees everything that's happening at the University of Tennessee. We talk about the leadership at UT, how it helps with the coaches and what they're building there. I think Mike's comments that he's made this past week about the broadcasting side as well back that up.
And I can remember when we were at the New Center, we were hearing about this young guy at the communications department of broadcasting when he was like a freshman or a sophomore. And John Ward thought the world of him because I did some interviews, with John, and he would say that. And he really, at some point, did need to come home again, I think. And there's even like on social media, John, there's this black and white photo. It's fall calls. It's a young Bob Kesling and an even younger Mike Keith. So, there you go.
Yeah, it's a good transition. It's a good. I worked with Mike 30 years ago now on a television show that I produced, and I can honestly say, hardest working guy I've ever been around. Because he was doing sports talk at the same time, and then he'd come over and do the hour a night over. It was a WBIR side channel, and just the amount. Then he would go home and do recruiting news. The guy just worked his tail off, and he's always been that kind of a worker. So I know that Tennessee's getting something good there. Were you raising your hand to say something?
Just real quick, first time I ever did the radio with Mike, I remember Chuck Sentinel used to go on. When I listened to Mike, I always thought he had a stack of like the
encyclopedia
Tennessee
stuff.
football guides and all this stuff because people would ask him questions across the widest range of sports, and he would answer them. And then when you go and you did the radio with him, no, he was just sitting there. I don't know as much about my own life as Mike did about sports. So there is that. I mean, think about it. They got Will and Tyler now compared to Mike. Mike.
Oh, we'll bring Will out here and let him respond to that. Like I said, it's a great salute to both those guys. For Bob for 25 years of doing that, and to Mike for coming back. When I worked with Mike, these people know it. I see so many people online. They're like, "Oh, Pennington loves himself. He loves that show." Mike pegged me with a nickname years ago, Happy, because I'm never happy after one of these shows. And I got to talk to him the other day, and he was like, "Happy? How are you?" So, yep, it's a good thing. So, congratulations to both those guys. Bob on 25 years given to the university, and Mike on the years to come that he's going to give to the university. Good transition there by Danny White, who once again goes out. If you've got a hole to fill, he goes out and makes a splash in filling it. Congratulations to all those people involved. When we come back, all right, how you can help the family of a Vol baseball player in need ties into the California wildfires. If you haven't heard about it, we'll show you how you can help them. And then we'll answer that question. Who are we pulling for, the Golden Domers or those Buckeyes? Come on back on the Sports Source.